Your Miami Dolphins are 1-3 after last night's 27-21 victory over the New York Jets. But, and you guys know what's coming next. There's the Tyreek Hill injury that you got to deal with for the rest of the season. You've got to wonder whether that was the last time we will see Tyreek Hill in a Dolphins uniform. You've got to wonder, where does this team go from here? What's up, everybody? Chris Perkins here, your host of this week's edition of Dolphins Deep Dive with Perk. I am your South Florida Sun Sentinel, Miami Dolphins columnist. That is David Furones. He is your South Florida Sun Sentinel, Miami Dolphins writer. Furones, I mean, they got in the win column, but man, it's kind of a muted celebration, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I wrote after the game. What I'm writing today is that now it is a life after Tyreek for the Miami Dolphins. So the shocking reality after that, we witnessed that gruesome injury. So the Dolphins did come away with a win, but it didn't quite feel like one that just springboards the team after an 0-3 start because there is that backdrop that Tyreek Hill was lost for the year and probably for his time as a Miami Dolphin.
Yeah, it's a lot to digest. We're going to help you get it down here on Dolphins Deep Dive with Perk. We want to welcome our viewers on YouTube. As always, we invite you to leave a comment, question, thought on our live chat, which is the best place to find intelligent Dolphins conversation. We also want to remind you, if you missed any part of this show, you can catch the podcast on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And we would like to tell you that you can sign up for our weekly newsletter, The Fins Flash, by scanning the QR code that will be shown on your screen. So on today's show, we will talk about the Tyreek Hill injury, kind of, putting some perspective on it and telling you what you can expect going forward from your Miami Dolphins, who, again, they got their first victory of the season, but it came at a cost. We're going to talk about Tua Tagovailoa because his role is now magnified, if that's even possible, right? But it's an offense now that you have to really lean more into Tua and Jalen Waddle and Devon Achane and, dare we say, Darren Waller, among others. Also, our Furones bonus is back, baby. Dave Hyde doesn't do the Furones bonus. David Furones does the Furones bonus. And this week, he is going to tell us if the defense played with violence, like defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver asked last week. And finally, we will have our Carolina prediction less than 24 hours after the Dolphins finish their last game. We're going to make a pick on the next game. As we say around here, there's an ocean of possibilities. I know. Let's dive in.
It's kind of, we're trying to save it.
Yeah, I know. A little rocky on my part here. I'm shook from the Tyreek injury, man. I can't help it. Look, this is a bad injury. Everybody in the media room, everybody on social media knows what I say about the Dolphins offense, right? It's based on two things, Tyreek Hill and the threat of Tyreek Hill. And now you don't have either, so you have to wonder what happens to this offense. You also know my numbers on Tyreek, right? In the 23 and 24 seasons, the Dolphins were 11-0 when Tyreek had 100 or more yards, and they averaged 35 points per game. When Tyreek had 99 or fewer yards, they were 7-17 and averaged 18 points per game. Now, they did lose a game this season when Tyreek was over 100 yards. Yesterday, they won a game when Tyreek had fewer than 100 yards. So the trends are starting to turn a little bit. But, man, you need Tyreek. I mean, Tyreek is this offense, and it's going to be interesting to see how Mike McDaniel, as a play caller and as a head coach, is able to rally his team and his offense. I don't want to be grim, but I just don't see a whole lot of positivity in the next few weeks as the Dolphins make this adjustment. It's going to be a rough go of it. What are you seeing from that standpoint, Furones?
Wait, is that 100-yard stat adjusted for if he exits the game on pace for a 100-yard game? Because it was very early in the second half. He had 67 yards. So he was on a pace, a 100-yard pace, so he was very effective. So maybe we can make that the stat, is whether he has a 100-yard game or exits on pace for it, and they still win with that. Yeah, you mentioned it's all about this offense has been about Tyreek and the threat of Tyreek. Like, can the Dolphins get 2 spots on IR for this? Because it's essentially losing 2 players. It's Tyreek Hill himself and then everything that he opens up for the offense. So that's what it is now going forward. It's about moving on life without Tyreek for this Dolphins offense, which is something that Mike McDaniel hasn't really had to deal with. I mean, he's missed a game here and there, but he hasn't just been without Tyreek Hill. It's been the focal point of this offense, exactly like you said, Tyreek and the threat of Tyreek. To me, it's going to force Mike McDaniel to commit to the run even more now. I think now as it's exit Tyreek Hill, it's enter Darren Waller. So we're going to see that become a more focal point of the offense, I think, after he got his feet wet. I had a package of, 16 plays, 16 offensive snaps, if I'm not mistaken, in that game. Very efficient with them because he had 4 targets, 3 catches, 2 of them for touchdowns. So that's extraordinarily efficient usage of Darren Waller. So now I think we're going to see more of get into the red zone, throw the ball up to him. You have Nick Westbrook-Akine, who's another guy who you can get the ball up to as a 6'2 receiver who had 9 touchdown catches last year and still hasn't been a part of this offense through the first month, through the first quarter of this season. I look at Jalen Waddle. He has to step up and be a number 1 wideout. Which he is now paid like one after the extension going into the 2024 season. So now step up and be that guy who it was always believed he could be once Tyreek Hill's time at the Dolphins had come and gone. So now it is time for Jalen Waddle to be that player. Now maybe there will be different looks that defenses give the Dolphins. Not as much of the constant 2 high shows if they don't have to worry about Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Now it's just Waddle, but Waddle will get the more of the defensive attention as the number 1 wide receiver, but maybe Darren Waller, the incorporation of him opens things up, and it's got to be the run game. I think Mike McDaniel now, it'll free him up to now really hone in on the run out of necessity. And, maybe you never like to frame it this way, but maybe there could be positives that come from this. But, hey, Mike McDaniel always says adversity is opportunity. So this is just about as great of an example of that as the Tyreek Hill injury. Adversity turning into opportunity for new ways the Dolphins offense can function.
Yeah, this is a opportunity for the Dolphins to expand their offense, for other guys to step up, for Mike McDaniel to show us that he's a more in-depth play caller than just calling these deep shots to Tyreek. Everybody has an opportunity here. We'll see how well they embrace it. Before we continue, let's say what's up to a few of our viewers here. Billy Batson, what's up? Dead Streak, Ender Fireplace, YZ, Malby Crazy, Pretty Boy, Comrade, checking in from Scotland. Carl Becker, what's up, Carl? JD, the Great One, Raphael Courtright, of course. What's going on with everybody? Who else is out here? Nizzle is out here. Who else is out here? We got a nice crew out here. Furones, let me ask you this. From the standpoint of how the Dolphins make up for Tyreek's absence, Tyreek is a guy who made other players better. Because what he did was he took a lot of attention away from guys like Jalen Waddle or Devon Achane or Jonnu Smith in the case of last year. He made Mike McDaniel's life easier because you knew as a play caller, all you have to do is get the ball into Tyreek's hands. Now it's a situation where we're going to see what Tua can do without Tyreek because, one of the things that I said on social media, maybe it was over the offseason or maybe it was last year, was I didn't think that anybody made people better on that offense except for Tyreek. And I got hit with a bunch of Tua. Tua made Tyreek. Tyreek didn't have the numbers before Tua came along. I was like, look, Tyreek was on his way to the Hall of Fame before he met Mike McDaniel and Tua. But the fact now is they've got to come up with a way to generate offense without Tyreek's speed, without Tyreek making the safeties play in that 2-deep scheme. Now you can play 8-man fronts, right? To say, look, I don't think that this run game is going to beat us take some 8-man front. I don't think Jalen Waddle can beat us. Let's have somebody shadow him. I don't think Darren Waller can beat us. I think Devon Achane can get yards, but he can't beat us. Defensive coordinators can look at this team in a totally different way, and Mike McDaniel has to look at this team in a totally different way. And, I mentioned this yesterday after the game when I was on you when we were doing our on-field post-game report, that this is right guard number 4. And you started 3 right guards, right? Because you started out with James Daniels, then you went to Keon Smith. He was replaced in the second half by Daniel Brunskill, and then Cole Strange started yesterday and did a pretty decent job. The Dolphins' offensive line did a pretty decent job on Quinnen Williams, who could be the best defensive tackle that they face. But how do you make this offense more productive? How do you make it scary? I think the days of that high-scoring Dolphins offense are over. You have to become more conventional now. Have a better mix of run-pass. Yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, Furones, 31 runs and 25 passes, I believe, were the numbers. That's a good sign. That's a good start. But man, you're going to be searching. I think you're going to be searching to find the winning combination. You can get some yards out of Achane and Waller and Waddle and Tua, but can you win games? That's the biggest thing. That's what I have to find out from this team, because I'm very undecided on how offensively they're going to win games without Tyreek.
Yeah, and it'll certainly help when they get the right side of the line back. You mentioned 4 different right guards now with Cole Strange, after Daniel Brunskill, after Keon Smith, after James Daniels. You only had him for 3 plays. We got to find out more on how long James Daniels will be out, if Austin Jackson can return quickly. Pectoral injury for Daniels, toe injury for Austin Jackson. So I think that's one of the keys, is if you get those guys back now, that helps you even more so in the run game. As we've already seen some flashes in Buffalo. You saw the run game get going week 3, and then this game for sure, finally running the ball more than passing, and the game script allowed for that with the Dolphins playing with a lead, and especially then losing Tyreek Hill, then that like I said, will force McDaniel to do that more. So we're going to find out more on Austin Jackson and James Daniels. I think that'll help this not only the run game, but then also that's the blindside protection for Tua, so he doesn't have to always go quick release, first read throw, like Xavier Howard said. You take away the first read. Well, it's because he's getting the ball out so quick, as he knows he has to. So maybe that could give him more time. You have to kind of get by one more game at least without them. We have to see if they're ready to come back after the minimum 4 games. But yeah, that's one way, as well as also, of course, Darren Waller, the infusion, now maybe giving you a different look. It's not so dependent on speed. Now you have the big possession pass catching target that you can throw to down there in the red zone. We were seeing he was coming in on those early third downs. First third down he's in there for. Ball goes to him, 14-yard catch. That kind of lets him shake off any rust and get back at it. And, boy, he handled it well. So I think you're only going to see more of that. And then, obviously, the run game, get Devon Achane his 20-plus touches, whether they're on the ground, in the short passing game. This time it was on the ground. And then also get Ollie Gordon in the mix as well. So you have that power speed dynamic between the two.
Let me put a bow on this segment with this, and I'm sure we're going to come back to Tyreek, especially in the next segment. But when we talk about, was this Tyreek's last game in a Dolphins uniform, Tyreek, we know, is going to cost them more than $50 million against the cap next season. He's 31 years old. He turns 32 in March. He plays a speed game. He has a dislocated left knee plus a torn ACL, and we will see, as you tweeted out, Tyreek tweeted something out right before he was going into surgery today. So we'll see what the remaining damage is, but even if he comes back next season, you would think if he ever regains that speed, that shiftiness, that ability to change direction, it might take more than a year. And so I just don't see that Tyreek will be coming back. The possibility of trading him is now done. because of the knee injury. It's not even the pending NFL investigation into allegations of domestic violence. It's the knee injury. It's the on-field thing. Is there any way, Tyreek Hill, any reasonable way that you can see right here on September 30th that Tyreek Hill comes back to the Dolphins next season? Because I don't.
No, I don't see it. And there's money that kicks in for Tyreek Hill in a $5 million roster bonus, $11 million also guaranteed if he's on the roster for the third day of the new league year in March. So if you go out to March, he's still going to be rehabbing the knee. I think the Dolphins were never bound to pay him that anyway. I think they were going to move from him this offseason, even if he had, I mean, it had to be only an exceptional season, like he's back balling, like it's 2023, and the Dolphins make a deep playoff run, and they need him back to run it back. So I just didn't see it before this. I was already kind of on alert for a trade deadline move if the Dolphins season went awry, especially this month in October. So I didn't see it before, and then even more so now. It just makes it more unlikely. So none of the $36 million are currently guaranteed for next season. So that would be a simple out for the Dolphins. And in the short term, it's also $1.4 million of his $1.8 per game active roster bonuses for this season are now out the window because he will now go on IR and will not be on the active roster for that final 3 quarters of the season, a little bit more than that.
And by the way, let me just say this for the record that we are sending out thoughts and prayers to Tyreek and his family and to the Dolphins. I mean, I know it's a very, small football world, but the Dolphins are in a world of hurt here. Because Tyreek is not going to be with them for the rest of the season. So we wish well to everybody involved here. Furones,
you're right, Bert. Let's step back from the constant next man up mentality. We are so ingrained in us. Next man up, next man up. It's just you move on from it, but it's true. You do have to take a moment to think about what he's going through as a person, and he is keeping a positive attitude. You saw immediately afterwards. That's really impressive to have that go on for you, and you're smiling, cracking jokes that keeps your teammates involved, and obviously he's smiling in the pictures he's released as he's going in for surgery. So a lot going on for him, but good to see. We can all take lessons from that. You can keep a positive attitude even when you're going through difficult times.
Yeah, and let me say this, that everybody watching, our viewers, were better about this than me, because the first things that they posted was prayers up to Tyreek, and I go into the whole football thing because that's how I am. But we do want to be human and be sympathetic on this show also. So what's up to Francisco fans? What's up to, who else? Eric Rivera. P Double, thanks for joining us. C Dola, thanks for joining us, everybody. Dehese, I didn't see you on here. Peter McDowell on here also. So Shape Money. I'm discovering some other ones here. Danny Martin, Fleming Law. Welcome to everybody here. Furones, let's talk about Tua and his role his increased role now. You don't want Tua to do too much, and that's the key here as far as forcing passes and running when he should get rid of the ball or when he should slide. You don't want Tua forcing things. How does Tua take a bigger role in this offense without doing too much? For me, I would say you've got to do your 111, and then you see what develops through these next few games. But I don't want to see Tua come out here on Sunday at Carolina in more of a gunslinger role or in more of a running role. Let this kind of evolve organically, but that might be very tough. What do you think Tua should do to become a better quarterback in this situation?
No, what you want to see from Tua is that he doesn't go and try to do too much. Is that he just lets the game come to him, manage the situation now. You no longer have your top wide receiver, so you have to take that reality into account, and now really just let this game against the Jets serve as a microcosm of how you're going to run going forward. It's it's lean on the run game more than trying to make plays in the pass game. Don't turn the ball over. So the Dolphins, they did force 3 turnovers finally. So winning the turnover margin 3-0, part of that is that Tua, for the first time this season, did not have a turnover of his own in this game. So do your part in that respect. I want to see this Dolphins offense lean on the run game. He's going to be targeting Tyreek or Jalen Waddle more often with Tyreek Hill out. You're incorporating Darren Waller already, so 2 touchdowns for him. That was a little microcosm of what can come next. It's exit Tyreek Hill, enter Darren Waller. So you bring him into the offense and his 6'6" pass catching ability. For the first time since Mike Gesicki, Tua has someone like that where he was trying to think when was the last time he was able to throw a ball up to the crossbar and have a player come down and get it, because like Mike McDaniel says, all the receivers are more built like him or more of his stature. I recall that 2022 game in Baltimore when early in that comeback, Tua threw one that probably would have hit the crossbar. Mike Gesicki is skying for it in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. So that was a lot like the first touchdown last night for Darren Waller. So it's going to be getting him involved. It's going to be maybe a little bit more of Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, a little bit more of Malik Washington. If D. Eskridge, who you saw the Tua and the offense built camaraderie with some rapport there, if you get him going, I don't know if Taj Washington has been a healthy scratch for some games, so I don't know. He's probably another step down on the depth chart, but getting these options in there, getting the ball to Devon Achane, leaning on the run game, and seeing if the defense can keep forcing turnovers while you on the offensive side do not turn the ball over.
Let me read a few of these texts here because I think it gets into what we're talking about. Dead Streak says, what I want to know is why it took McDrip so long to get back into his bag. Carl Beckert says, will Tua finally grow up and be a big boy and justify his contract? We won't be able to go deep with Hill out. Waddle needs to put on his big boy cleats. Rashawn Broken Bro.
Well, what size cleats? What size cleats are big boy cleats? I just wonder.
I think they're whatever ones get you touchdowns without Tyreek. That's what size it is.
Just not too big where you're stepping out of bounds when you land.
That's
you
right.
Still need small enough feet to keep them in bounds.
That's right. You don't want to do like Jalen Polk for the Patriots last year against the Dolphins, right? Those cleats were a little too big. Rashawn Broken Bro says Mike been actually calling great games. So let's get into this because I think you're going to have to play complementary football as opposed to leaning more into the offense. And what we saw yesterday was the defense producing the defense produced 2 turnovers. Special teams produced 1. We didn't see the special teams errors that we had seen before, right? With the running into the punter, the roughing the punter, allowing the return for the touchdown. We saw some good things from the whole team. This was a team victory yesterday. And so offensively, yes, you do have to lean into Darren Waller and Devon Achane. You got to get Ali going more. You got to hope Tua doesn't do too much. But to me, and this is why I hope that Tua doesn't try to do too much, it's got to be a team thing, and then you see how this evolves. I don't think that one player or one side of the ball is going to be able to make up for this. Let's see what happens these next few games. But I do think that it's going to be more of a holistic, organic approach. Let's see what develops as opposed to let's force the ball to Ollie Gordon or let's force the ball to Darren Waller. Hopefully they let this whole team breathe and this offense breathe, and then we just get to see. Maybe there's one guy who takes over, whether it's Waddle or Achane or whoever. Or maybe it's just the defense takes more of a role this week because the matchup favors the defense. And then the run game takes more of a role this week because the matchup favors the run game. What do you think overall is going to be the immediate approach and what's going to be the big picture approach for this team?
Yeah, I want to see this offense be a credit card statement. I want to see it display outstanding balance. All right.
I knew you were getting some to balance. I knew balance was coming around. So.
All right, but not just balance, outstanding balance on display.
That's my
Give me
credit
that
card. Outstanding balance.
So yeah, it'll be matchup based. If you can take advantage with the ground game against one opponent, you do that. If there's opportunities in the pass game, you do that. I want to see Mike McDaniel get back in his bag, be innovative, creative again offensively, not get tied into a box so much of I have to get Tyreek Hill the ball this much. Like he always preaches, this is truly adversity turning into opportunity for how he can open up the offense, get all these different guys that you brought in either via the draft or in free agency. A lot of them that maybe you haven't gotten involved as much. I look at Nick Westbrook-Akine. I'm still saying Ollie Gordon could get more involved in the offense. We saw him have an effective 9 carries in Buffalo. It was down to 6 against the Jets, but he wasn't as effective. It was only 10 yards total. So he was under 2 yards a carry. Meanwhile, Devon Achane, he was rolling at about 5-yard clip because he had 99 on his 20 attempts. So, yeah, you leaned on Devon Achane in the run game this time. I want to see Tua distribute the ball. It might be something closer to what we saw 2020, before Tyreek Hill got there. And I know a lot of fans, maybe they don't want to see Tua go back to that. They want to see Tua be 2022, 2023, especially Tua Tagovailoa. But it might have to be like, all right, you have Waddle again to when he was a rookie that year, where he's going to be a focal point. Darren Waller turns into your Gesicki of the past, and it's Mike McDaniel running this offense, maybe with some creativity, like letting Tua go with the Magic Johnson behind the back shovel to Malik Washington coming around the end, getting involved in the run game to keep opponents off balance, and then open up the up the middle run game. Go to the outside zone, mix it all in. So I think I really want to see this offense open up, let Mike McDaniel really just go deep into what he's got in his arsenal. As now it's you won't have Tyreek and you're faced with that reality.
J1364, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. A couple of questions here. Raphael Courtwright says, do the Dolphins make a trade for a wide receiver? Billy Batson says, better pay Achane for doing 2 assignments. So let's kind of wrap these up here. I saw this as a 9-win season, so I don't know that you want to, and now it's not going to be that. I don't think you want to spend assets on a number 1 receiver or a number 2 receiver when you've already got Waddle and Malik Washington. Let's see what they can do. I would not trade for a receiver at this point, probably not all season. I don't want to give up those assets. And then when you look at Achane, Furones, this is a guy in the 3rd year of his contract. You're going to have to do something if you're the Dolphins at the end of this year. Maybe you let him go to the last year of his contract. But what are your thoughts? Do you trade for a wide receiver? And do you start thinking, if Achane gets too good, he's going to cost us too much money? How do you approach Achane and the wide receiver position?
Well, I've already seen Twitter pundits pointing out that A.J. Brown is unhappy, posting cryptic tweets in Philadelphia, despite the Eagles being 4-0. I think he would be more unhappy if he goes to bed one night 4-0 and then wakes up the next morning 1-3 on the Dolphins. Even if he would get a few more targets, which, by the way, he was getting still plenty of targets. He only had 2 catches on his 7 or 9 targets. But anyway, this is Dolphins deep dive, not Eagles high soar or whatever. We're focused on the Dolphins here. Malik Washington, I see more as being the 3rd option in an effective offense. If he could be that slot where you have your 2 go-to receivers, but I don't see this team mortgaging the future for an immediate return. I think this year you got to make it work with what you got, and then it goes from there. And it'll really be a test for Mike McDaniel and something, because the pressure isn't off of him. I don't know if that's the case with Stephen Ross. Because we hear the reports that Stephen Ross does not want to move on from him after just giving Mike the extension last year. But they're still going to have to pull out some wins this year, and now it's going to be more challenging without Tyreek Hill. But I think it does open up for what we know Mike McDaniel to be, this offensive whiz, to really just get back to being innovative with his play calling. So I want to see that more. I want to see Tua play loose, like, hey, you got nothing to lose, because you're not expected to go throw that deep ball to Tyreek Hill. Just play like you got nothing to lose, while still obviously managing the game well and not turning the ball over, giving your defense a chance.
Yep. Sean Tunsil says Elijah Moore. Nizzle says Antonio Brown is available. Comrade responds with more chance of Charlie Brown than AJ Brown. Than Antonio Brown or AJ, yes.
Maybe like a lower level receiver that's not like top of the line, that you would give up some significant assets. So I can see that as a midseason move, especially if you gather some wins. If you win at Carolina, you get back to 2-3. Who knows what could happen against the Chargers, as they're struggling to protect Justin Herbert, and they just lost a game where they went to the East Coast for what's a 10 a.m. kickoff for them. In the 1 p.m. window. So that'll be a long travel for them to play 1 p.m. at Hard Rock Stadium. So you never know. And then it's Cleveland and Atlanta to follow. Baltimore, is Lamar Jackson going to be back by then? End of next month. So, yeah, there's a lot going on this upcoming month.
Yep. All right, Furones, you know what time it is now, baby. It is the time for one of the top 4 segments on this 4-segment show. It is the Furones bonus!
Oh! The Furones bonus!
I love it, baby. All right, so we saw Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator, last week make an impassioned plea for this defense to play with more violence. I was not happy with what I saw from that run defense, but did the defense play with more violence overall? Break it down for us, Furones.
Boy, you start to watch that game and you would say, hell no. They were getting pounded. The Jets were the ones bringing the violence to the Dolphins. That opening drive, what was it, 76 yards? It was all on the ground. Justin Fields only threw the ball once for 5 yards, and they marched right down the field. But boy, what a turning point it was when Jack Jones did play with violence, with a punch out of the ball on Braylon Allen, who that was the only way to stop that touchdown, was punching the ball up, because it just merely tackling him as he's diving, and Braylon Allen was set to cross the plane of the goal line with the ball. So that was really the only way to stop that touchdown in a game where the Dolphins did win by 6 points. Just consider that the Dolphins saved that touchdown at the 1 yard line, picked the ball up as the ball rolled around a little bit. Minka Fitzpatrick gets it at the 4 yard line, and the Dolphins turn that around and go 96 yards the other way, capping it with a Darren Waller touchdown. At that point, it was 10-0, right? Because they started with the field goal. Then that happened. So, it did not look that way. I was watching that opening drive thinking, boy, Anthony Weaver, what does he have to be thinking? What does he feel like he has to say? He might feel like he's done saying and he's about to do. You know, like, hey, he was going to be like, I talk, you do. He was going to say, like the Dolphins, the opposite of the Dolphins team motto. He was about to go do and just get back in there as a player and bring that intensity and go suit up and start showing them how to actually bring violence onto the football field. But luckily for the Dolphins, from the secondary, a quarterback punching the ball out at the goal line, and Jack Jones, who is known to be able to force turnovers by intercepting passes, intercepting lanes, passing lanes, biting on routes to go make that happen, taking gambles, and it served well in exactly what they were practicing. We saw them practicing punching the ball out. And it showed, because then later it was Tyrell Dodson getting Justin Fields on a 4th down. Jalen Phillips recovers it. And then Dante Trader coming out of the half when it's a 1-possession game. The Jets kicked a field goal to make it the 7-point game. And the opening kickoff, the Jets are set to have the ball to start the second half. It was a key thing that Aaron Glenn even mentioned on his interview going into halftime. About to get the ball going into the second half, and that's a game-changing play. Dante Trader, the rookie, who has played a lot on defense, makes his special teams force fumble to then recover it himself, leads to more Dolphins points. So, absolutely. They turned it around. Especially, one form of violence is to punch, and the Dolphins were punching balls out But it took them a little bit because they were getting smacked in the mouth a little bit on that first drive. And later on still gave up that 43-yard scramble to Justin Fields. If you take away the first drive, you take away that one, I think the Dolphins overall did well in that regard. You also consider that they created 3 takeaways. But that run defense, after giving up 197 yards on the ground, a lot of it to the quarterback, so not every team has a running quarterback like Justin Fields. But the Dolphins now are number 30 out of 32 teams in the NFL in run defense. So, something that still needs to be shored up because it got you by against the Jets. But if that run defense is still what's happening against other opponents, you're not going to be in positions on third downs and whatnot to create turnovers.
I agree. Furones, I might have been too nice on my report card. I gave the run defense a D-, and I said the only thing that keeps it from being an F was the Jack Jones play. You allow Breece Hall and Justin Fields to rush for 81 yards each. As you mentioned, Justin Fields had that 43-yard touchdown run. The pass defense is where I might have been too lenient. I gave the pass defense a B-. That is understanding that Justin Fields is 20 for 27 for 226 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He had a 111 passer rating. Tua had a 114.9. Justin Fields had 111. You can't let Justin Fields have a 111 passer rating. Garrett Wilson with that touchdown. That was a nice catch. He ends 6 for 82. Mason Taylor, the son of Hall of Famer Jason Taylor, has a breakout game. 5 receptions for 65 yards. Breece Hall, 5 receptions for 30. That's not going to hurt you. But the Mason Taylor, another tight end dealing on you. Garrett Wilson, that excellent touchdown pass and a reception. And then Justin Fields, you had 2 sacks, but was I too lenient with a B- on the pass defense, or what do you foresee for this pass defense?
Yeah, I mean, that's almost just as concerning because, sure, you look at maybe the 226 passing yards number. In the NFL, you're normally good with that, but this is Justin Fields and the Jets pass offense. So, you should have done better. But let's also prop up my double prop bet victory for once again hitting on my best bet with that because I did have Garrett Wilson with the over.
You did.
So our Sentinel prop bets fall. Garrett Wilson hits the over on that late touchdown. I was saying going into the drive, it's still alive because the Jets are going to be passing. I get the backdoor cover there. And then my long shot, which was just one Darren Waller anytime touchdown, he ends up doubling it up. I wish I could have parlayed for 2 or something, but
exactly. You're gonna have to start putting
3-1 on best bets, 2-2 on long shots.
Yeah, you're kicking my ass in this. You were kicking my ass in this. So,
Well, I want to see you do well because I don't want to see the bookie bankrupt you. I want to see you win against the bookie.
right, exactly.
I want to see both of us win.
There we go. That's the good solution. That's a good teammate right there. That's what we need. Both of us win.
But for those concerned, we do not actually gamble, although it is legal on the Hard Rock Bet app in Florida. But we only do put out our prop bets file for your entertainment and also for informational purposes to get some analysis from us on what could happen in the game script.
That's right. In my case, what to stay away from. All right.
You should read just to fade whatever Perk is saying. Just bet the opposite of whatever Perk says.
Exactly. Hey, my betting guide has turned out pretty well, but these weekly prop bets are just killing me. Want to say what's up to Dave Harbor checking in from San Diego. Grandizer 12. I got game. AJ NJ. What's up to all of y'all? Furones. Our final segment here, the picks, and I am so torn on this. Dolphins, Carolina on Sunday in Charlotte. I'm going to tell you my initial idea here is Panthers 28 and Dolphins 20. I don't know that I'm going to stick with that. I know that is jaw-dropping and eye-opening. The Panthers won their only home game against Atlanta, 30-0. They're 0-3 on the road, but they're 1-0 at home. Dolphins, as we know, are 0-2 on the road. They typically don't play well on the road, but they typically do kick the crap out of non-playoff teams. So I don't know what's going to give here. Our friend Robert Hunt is out with a torn left biceps. Our other friend, Dan Morgan, is the GM from Terravella High School and from the U. So we always want to see Dan Morgan doing well. We want to see Rob Hunt doing well, but that's not a factor. I'm sticking with 28-20 Panthers because I don't know what the Dolphins. I don't know if they're going to be settled. That might not be the what I go with on when do our things run? Thursday or Friday in the Sun Sentinel. Our predictions.
I think we might have to send them in today. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's my other dilemma, but that's my initial impulse. What say you? What are you thinking?
Yeah, and I really haven't given it one iota of thought until this very moment because we're just on an accelerated week. We just covered the Monday night game, so and covering a brutal injury to Tyreek Hill. So I've been spending my morning following up on that and covering it some more. So I'm thinking right now I'll go Dolphins 24, Panthers 23. I see them pulling out a tight, tough road win against a mediocre team. But, one that's been very up and down. You mentioned that game against the Falcons. I guess the Falcons also have been up and down, very uneven in the NFC South. You just never know what you're going to get from those teams week to week. I do like what the Dolphins did on the road in Buffalo. So on a short week as well, a shorter week. This one is also similarly less time to prepare. You're coming off the Monday night. So the Panthers have been resting for an extra day and a half, plus they're at home. So there are some things that line up. I think Anthony Weaver is going to, get into these defensive players again for the run defense because there's a combination of that. They gave up enough for them to still have so much to work on. Mm-hmm. But they came away with the win and came away with some takeaways that are some positive things to take away going forward. So I think they combine that with maybe that run defense stopping Chuba Hubbard in that Panthers run game. Robert Hunt won't be there. Could be successful. Bryce Young doesn't scare me too much. I like the rookie Teteroa McMillan over there as well. But I have the Dolphins pulling out a close one. I think they go to the ground game as well, find some balance in the offense. You've uncovered Darren Waller as a revelation out of retirement now, so an extra weapon there. I have the Dolphins pulling out a tight one, 24-23, as they get back to 2-3. Keep this season going with a lot of interest.
Let me ask you this, because you mentioned Waller. Carolina is going to focus heavily or more heavily on Waller because of what he just did, what he just showed. You're not going to have Tyreek. If Carolina plays the 8-man front to keep Achane and Ollie Gordon under control, and if they focus heavier on Darren Waller, can you see a offensive combination of Tua to Jalen Waddle producing a 100-yard game, maybe a touchdown or two? Could that feed the offense, or do you have to force that run game to loosen up the pass if you're the Dolphins? I think you probably have to force the run, but let's wait and see. If I'm Carolina, I'm going to take my chances on the Tua Waddle combination because I think that Achane and Ollie and Waller could hurt me worse as far as winning the game.
Yeah, that's fair. But if I'm Jalen Waddle, I was just going to say that I'm looking at that as great news for me, for him. Right. So, it could open up for a breakout game for Waddle in that case. Where now, defenses, it's not the always stick to the too high shell because you have to stop the combination of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Now Tyreek Hill's out of the equation. It's just Jalen Waddle. Do opposing defenses see that with as much fear as they would the combination of the two of them? And then now, considering Darren Waller just had the impact he had on a primetime stage, national standalone game Monday night, now that's going to almost move to the forefront of the Panthers game plan. Like, now you have to go stop him. He's looking like Darren Waller of old, especially in the red zone. So I think that'll be a focal point. And, the Dolphins, out of necessity, are going to need to be running the ball, but out of necessity, we'll also have to have Jalen Waddle step up. So I can see a lot of targets for him. And then we'll see how the Panthers play, because maybe it's also so much more focus going his way. But then I need to see the other guys step up too, if that's the case. I need to see Malik Washington, Nick Westbrook-Akine finally surface in the pass game, and maybe even D. Eskridge, who we have seen put together some rapport with Tua in this offense.
Finally here, I've always got to go overboard on our texters here, but we've got to get out of here because look at you, Cafecito, because we've got Mike McDaniel at 2:00. But Cat for Life says, by the way, what's up, Cat for Life? What's up, Nate G? Cat for Life says we don't need to force feed the ball to Cheetah any longer. It's up to the quarterback now. Nate G says, hello, Perkins David from California. Always feels good to beat the Jets. McD really needs to focus/commit to the running game. It's Waddle and Washington and the boys' time. This is Tua, Waddle, and Malik calls here from Cap for Life and Nate G. I mean, are you sold on that? Is that going to be initially the way you come out? Do you think that the Dolphins will come out, or do you think they will kind of hit that run game harder?
Sorry, what was it that they would initially come out?
They were saying, Cap for Life said that you don't have to force feed Cheetah anymore. It's up to the quarterback. And Nate G was saying it's Waddle and Washington boys' time. Is that pass? They're both advocating for the pass. Is the pass the way to go, or do you force feed that run and really wake that up?
Yeah, if the Panthers come out 8 in the box and they're committed to stopping the run, it would be such a 180 from everything Mike McDaniel and Dolphins have seen. So, and I do think McDaniel is big on taking advantage of the looks that the Dolphins are getting. So, yeah, he will be willing to adjust depending on what the Panthers show them. So, yes, if they're coming out devoted to stopping the run, then the Dolphins will have to work in reverse of everything they've had to do and loosen up the opposing defense to open up the pass game or open up the run game by first passing. So, yeah, I see Mike McDaniel just going with whatever the defense gives him. I think Tua will do that as well when he sees it post snap.
Yep. All right. That's going to do it for this edition. We appreciate you guys coming in and this, truncated, altered time here. Actually, the time has not been altered. It's just our week has been altered. Yeah, it's still noon at Tuesday, but to me, the days are all messed up. Anyway, we appreciate you guys being with us. Join us next Tuesday at noon. That's David Furones. I'm Chris Perkins. This is Dolphins Deep Dive with Perkins.